Welcome back to this edition of Grizzlies Daily. I am your host, Malik, and before we get into the things, I want to shout out Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. We'll talk about them later on in this video as we progress. So once again, thank you to Underdog for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. The Grizzlies did end up losing 117-98 to the Phoenix Suns. In this game, the Grizzlies simply came out flat. You fall behind in the first half by nearly 20, then you go down by 26 at one point. It was over before it even started. In this game, Devin Booker didn't even kill you as much. It was actually Dillon in the first half that really did anything. Grayson Allen off the bench, 5 threes. You got a good, somewhat solid showing from Jordan Goodwin. Overall, in this game, the thing that killed the Grizzlies the most was turnovers and the fact that the Suns were just killing them defensively. Like, that's the thing I'll give credit to a Dillon Brooks-led team. The defense is gonna be good, and we talked about it in the last episode. This team is somebody you got to watch out for because they're going to essentially get after it. The Suns, I'm not gonna say they dominated, but they did what they did. 22 threes as a team. They let the rebound battle by a little bit. The offensive rebounds, like the rebound battle, was actually fairly even in this game. It really was just like the points off turnovers that really killed the Grizzlies more than anything. I mean, 25 fast break points, 17 points off 18 turnovers. Granted, Phoenix did have the same amount, but like I said, this is a Phoenix team that clearly shot the lights out the ball, and you got what you got. In this game, Jaren did what he could. I'm not going to be critical of Jaren because he almost wasn't even going to play in this game because he was dealing with an illness. Ja once again moved down to out after, I guess, a game time decision. Those lower leg injuries are really getting after him. So with that, I believe Ja does not qualify for season awards. So bummer. But I mean, hey, it's something that we're unfortunately not used to. In this game, like I said, Grizzlies, those 3-point shots are really killing them. Nobody really did good defensively, if I'm being honest. Like I said, turnovers were a big thing. Gigi had 5, Siobhan Small with 5, Cam Spencer with 3. Cam Spencer played decent. Yeah, defensively, this team was just not doing good. Jock Landale, 0 points in 21 minutes, not good at all. Just that simple. That's just not good. Only bright spot for this game was, I guess the only bright spot in this game was really just, I guess they just would never. Look, it's hard for me to find bright spots in this. Santi didn't even score 10. Gigi looked okay. It's not much for me to be happy about in this game. Like I said, perimeter defense killed the Grizzlies, and that's kind of what I predicted was going to happen right there. With that being said, though, in this game, the Grizzlies did not shoot good at all. No doubt about it. And with that in mind, I think there's room for improvement when it comes to shooting, without question. And I think if the Grizzlies are going to make any type of push for a play-in spot or even a playoff set for that matter, you have to shoot the ball. You have to get better shooting. Grizzlies are one of the teams that really have an issue when it comes to 3-point shooting and 3-point defense for that matter. Looking at this right now, I'm reading a few articles. The Suns are among the leaders in 3-point shooting, and the Grizzlies did not simply game plan for it. That's the part that kind of kills me. You just didn't game plan. Like I said, they came out flat and they got dominated on the 3-point shots. It really is a defensive thing. That's why you really have to hope for Zach Edey back. So that's one thing right there. Now, when it comes to the 3-point shooting, absolutely you have to get something going. You have to get something going shooting wise. I don't know if you go after a guy like, Sam Hauser for the Celtics. I know he's a guy that's been kind of teased in articles for that matter. Looking at Bleacher Report article right here, they got Simone Fontecchio from the Miami Heat. I'm not big on him at all. He's a very, very inconsistent person, but you definitely do need guys to piece around if you're gonna have Cam Spencer be the main shooter on this team, because Granted, Jalen Wells, I like the guy, but he's in another slump, shooting below league average. Same with Cedric Howard, not necessarily a slump, but the 3-point shot just isn't their game. You need guys who are definitive 3-point shooters. Granted, I get it, guys are injured, but when you have guys like Ja Morant who simply cannot shoot the ball good right now, and then you just go from there and you look at other guys on the team like Jaren, who's not really the best 3-point shooter. There's nobody other than Cam Spencer on this team that I'm looking at as like a absolutely good 3-point shooters, and that's really, I think, the problem right there. So if you can go after guys who can come in, make some shots, be consistent with it, then I say you won the deadline when it comes to the Grizzlies. So hopefully they do something in that aspect, because right now we can't keep having guys going to slumps. That's gonna eventually lead us out of the play-in, and nobody really wants that. But right now it's not looking good. 21 losses, and we're not even in the middle of January. It's not looking good. I've said it. If this team reaches 30 losses by the end of January, I don't think there's a world where they make the playoffs, or even the play-in for that matter. So yeah, but yeah, let's get straight into it. But before we get into all the trade deadlines and all this stuff like that, I do want to talk real quick about Underdog Fantasy, as they are the sponsor in this video. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. And playing on Underdog is actually very easy. You just pick whether your favorite players to go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and other things like blocks or more. You get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. In this week on Underdog specifically today, I am looking at a few players, but I'm gonna narrow it down to two. I got Norman Powell. They're playing the Chicago. Miami is playing the Chicago Bulls. I got him higher on 22.5 points, and then I want to say we got right here Cooper Flag, 21.5 points. I'm actually gonna go lower. I think Cooper Flag struggles against the Utah Jazz. He's been struggling a bit lately, and I think he goes lower. So pretty bold predictions on my part, but hey, hopefully if you want to tag along, feel free to do it. Like I said, you download the Underdog app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 that you deposit. Once again, that's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog is where you make picks and you win money. So once again, thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video, and let's jump right back into things. No surprise here, gotta be honest. Trae Young has been traded from the Atlanta Hawks. Now you may be thinking, why did I bring that up? Well, it's the biggest news happening right now. He's traded to the Washington Wizards for, oddly enough, CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. No picks involved. In a world where Desmond Bane is worth 4 picks, Rudy Gobert is worth 4 picks, Trae Young is worth none. That's kind of wild to me. But the reason I bring it up is because I've been talking with a few Grizzlies fans lately, and there is growing optimism that the team, well, not necessarily the team, there's growing optimism that the fans essentially, some fans, I'm not speaking for all, some fans are kind of imagining a world where the Grizzlies are moving on without Ja. And quite frankly, it's kind of hard for me not to hear them out, because look, it's like I said, as much as I love Ja, the one thing that's really hurting him is the fact that his availability is really coming into question. It really is. And it's the best aspect of someone is their availability. And right now, Ja, we gotta admit, he's one of the worst right now when it comes to that. Granted, not his fault. Not exactly his fault, but it's just not looking good. It's really not. And I would say, and I'm only saying this, if there's a world where the Grizzlies do move on, I know they say Miami, I know they say Minnesota, all these different teams. Oddly enough, if there was a world where I think the Grizzlies should move on from Ja, I would say a trade that they could look into is the Pelicans. Not for Zion Williamson, because he's a freaky frog that can't seem to keep his money to himself and settle down with a woman. That's besides the point, though. I would say go after Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. There's an article right here from Brett Siegel. He says the asking price for Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III start at a minimum of 2 unprotected first-round picks. Even if there's a world where Ja is still on this team, I think you get on this. I got to be honest. I think you get on this for the talent that the Grizzlies have. I think you instantly upgrade with Trey Murphy. Not saying Trey Murphy's a number one, but he's proven that he can be a number one scoring option. This is a guy who can give you a good 20, 25, maybe even 40 if the shot is hit. He's a great three-point shooter. And then you got Herb Jones right here, absolute defensive anchor. I think he's the leader. Well, let me not say leader, but I think he's a defensive anchor that could pair well with the style that the Grizzlies have and the energy surrounding this city. So I'd say if those are guys that if you're looking to move on in a different direction, I would say go after them. Now, when it comes to the whole thing around Ja, like I said, there is not one single rumor that says the Grizzlies are moving on from Ja. Obviously, that's been debunked and things like that. But right now, we're living in times where the Grizzlies are kind of moving backwards. And we've seen it in multiple cases where it's like, hey, we might go in a different direction. Where do you want to go kind of thing? Not saying it's going to happen, but with the whole Trae Young thing, and then obviously Luka being traded, things like that, no one is off the table. It's just a matter of what happens and where he goes kind of thing. So I really want to know y'all thoughts on that because I thought that was kind of interesting that Trae Young really got traded for no picks. And, you know, Atlanta, obviously they got Jalen Johnson and they're very happy with where they're going. So I would say, how would you feel if there was a world without Ja Morant and they moved on from, you know, that thing? So, real quick, just want to get into some of y'all's comments because a lot of y'all were talking about, you know, the Spurs game, and I do want to get into that. And I know a lot of comments in the next video will be about what happened last night against the Suns. Not the greatest game, and hopefully we can move on from it, even though Friday we play OKC. Granted, that was a team that just struggled with the Utah Jazz in overtime, but the Utah Jazz, they're a sneaky team. We'll just say it like that. So I'll read some comments right here. This one says, it is about time for the 4-week evaluation of Edey to occur. I'm hoping we'll hear something during the second week of January. My honest hope right now is to remain within striking distance until the All-Star break and hopefully when play resumes. Every Grizzly is now healthy and available to play. And then he just listed off a rotation that had in mind, but it's kind of the one that we all are used to, but he has Jerome in the starting lineup. And then either Coward or Wells starting. I definitely think with the way this team is, I don't know how Ty Jerome looks in the starting lineup. Not saying that he's not a starter caliber, but just the fact of, you know, this team and the defense that it is, even with Zach Edey, just at that guard position, I don't know if you really trust Ty Jerome at the 2 spot. That's just me. But, yeah, I mean, it really is about time for a lot of evaluations. I don't know why we haven't heard anything back regarding Ty Jerome and Zach Edey. I think they're gonna wait till the weekend to really do it. I don't know why, but we really should hear something by today or tomorrow. But something tells me they're gonna wait till Saturday to put that news out because that's what they do. Yeah, that's really how I feel about it. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So unfortunate. Next comment says, I understand that if Wemby played more minutes, we probably would have lost, but Grizzlies also play with some stars having 0 minutes, such as Ja and Edey. So if the Grizz had their players too, then who knows? If Santu would have shot that 3 at the last second of the game and hit it instead of just holding the ball, that I would have won. I'm assuming something regarding the parlay. Been a Grizz fan since the first day they stepped foot on Tennessee soil. I moved to Bulls country 7 years ago, but I had the Grizz NBA package so I can watch all the games. Yeah, I mean, my point with the whole Wemby thing was the fact that when he was in the game, there was no stopping him. Like I said, that's the thing. That's not even the Grizz thing. That's the NBA thing. No one can stop Wemby. That's just the fact of the matter. So it was like it felt like at one point I'm like, okay, if Wemby plays more than what he's playing, he might go for 50. It felt like that at one point. And then just seeing how things were down the stretch after that whole sequence where Jalen Wells was fouled and then they didn't call the foul and then Wemby hits the 3. It was very tough and I thought that was going to be something that really got in the way. But obviously if we played our stars, the story might be a little different. So who knows? Next comment says, can Spencer pull? I usually don't woo. Can Spencer pull it out of me with the game winner? Besides the countless head scratching turnovers, this was the best game of the season. What effort can do? I'm more worried about facing former Grizzlies players and contenders now. If I got to be honest, I don't think that was the best game of the season. Excuse me. Excuse me. I still think that game against Philly was probably the best game effort wise. Just seeing Ja do what he does, and then some of the guys, step up and things like that. I still think that's the best game by far for the Grizzlies, and probably up there with that Timberwolves game as well. But I mean, yeah, when it comes to the turnovers, we saw it again, and it's killers. That's the thing, killers, and with the short rotation and those turnovers, you're going to be running a lot. And I'm almost sure nobody really wants to do that, but got to hold on to the ball. Simple as that. Last comment right here says, good win against the Spurs. I almost forgot what a win felt like. We need to play everyone that's available to have a chance each night. Edie is so important to what happens for the remainder of the season. And I couldn't agree more. The only problem with it is, and this is what I mean by the transparency of this team and the medical staff not really being vocal with us. I'm really trying to figure out what happened with Vince Williams Jr. Because it really doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. When you look at guys like him, you're like, what exactly happened? Because he just came back, he was fine, and then he's dealing with the same thing again. So it's like, I don't know what exactly is going on. But I would say for the guys that are available, you need to play them. The guys aren't here to really just sit around, wait for their opportunity. No, they're here to play. And that's a problem right there that needs to be solved. Simple as that. So I feel like I sound like a broken record, but this is literally this is all that's going on when you don't play guys like 30 minutes. It's going to wear and tear them. I think, look, for us to deal with as many injuries as we do, guys need to be playing more. Simple as that. They need to play more. Stop, giving them 25 minutes and they're in the starting lineup. No, they need to. I've said it before. Starters need to play minimum 30 plus minutes. To me, that's how it is. If you uncomfortable, if a bench player, the only exception is a bench player playing better than the starter. Simple as that. That's me. I would love to hear y'all thoughts on that because right now I am conflicted and I'm continuing to be conflicted because right now it's looking like more of a down year than we expected. And right now this team is on the verge of playing for a lottery pick. And I don't know how to feel right now. But that's going to wrap up this edition of Grizzlies Daily. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in on this Thursday edition. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And those so you get notified when the next video comes out. And we'll talk more leading up to the OKC game on Friday. All right. So I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.